Hello and welcome to the Week 15 edition of Buffalo Plus. Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I know, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Getting you ready. The Bills taking on the Panthers this week. We got
Let
a
me
lot
get
going
this out of
on.
the way right away. Jenna doesn't have a mic stand, okay? Because you
I
guys are
don't.
going to comment on it.
Yeah.
I have one.
I wonder if I can. Do I have
Mine
time?
stands on its own as well.
Okay, wait. I think I have time. Hold on. I'm wearing soccer shorts, so.
This is awful TV.
Oh, great TV.
So, Mike, Week 15.
I'm not wearing soccer shorts.
One of the things worth addressing, as we want to talk about, was the fact of COVID implications.
Yeah.
Just around the league, as obviously cases on the rise across the country again, and the NFL is no different. The Browns have a third of their team on the COVID list. They've got 20 guys on the COVID list.
Yeah, and that's a third of the team, including the whole practice squad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about, we're say 65. I mean, they're down to Nick Mullins.
Yep.
As quarterback. I think the biggest thing right now is the quarterback thing. Do you guys think the Bills are going to put
So that's an interesting point. So I asked that, and somebody clarified to the rules that we understand. Again, we're just media members. There are pages and pages and all this stuff. Mitch Trubisky has tested positive for COVID. He will not be tested again for 3 months.
So he's sort of immune to the test.
Correct, because that was the same thing that happened with Rodgers, because Rodgers, next time he would have to be tested would be the week before the Super Bowl.
And that's the last time we compare Mitchell Trubisky to Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
They have played against each other.
They have.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Several times.
Yeah.
And because
all right, it's
Aaron
7
Rodgers owns the team.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. So we will get into all of that and more.
Daniel's right. Washington football team has a lot too. I think they have about 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This is again inside baseball. We'll roll the open and then we'll get into it.
9 minutes.
All right, Jenna?
9 minutes.
All right.
Buffalo Plus, your interactive look at the week in football, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
Welcome into Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I am Jenna Cottrell. The Buffalo Bills getting ready to take on the Carolina Panthers. The Bills coming off that tough overtime loss against the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're now 7-6 on the season. Mike, we know this is a game coming up this weekend that is huge because of where the Bills are at, where we're at in the season, and what they want to do come the playoffs.
You know, Jenna and Dan, a lot of times during the year, we'll talk about the importance of certain games based on it's a division game, it's a conference game. All that stuff is still important, but the Bills have put themselves in a position where at the moment, it does not matter. They need a win. Even though Carolina's in the NFC, you got to get to 8 wins. Now, then obviously New England is an important game. The Jets is hugely important. But so is Atlanta, because they're going to need wins to make the playoffs or even still have a chance at the AFC East. So the game is massive. The margin of error is gone for this team now. They did it to themselves, Dan. That's where they are.
Yeah, we talked about it on the Buffalo Plus podcast over on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. The fact that for all intents and purposes, this is the playoffs. Like, the playoffs have started today, and this is a playoff week. And I know the Bills have said a lot of cliches just about, well, each game's important because it's the next game. That's never been more true than this week, because this really is the start of the playoffs. Because as Mike said, 10 wins you think gets you in, 11 absolutely. So this is where it starts to be like what Mike said. Just this game is the biggest game of the season, because if it's not, they're in a real hurting.
Yeah, they would be definitely in a tough spot. We don't even want to think about what that would mean. But, Mike, we saw Josh Allen and this Bills team really take that step forward and look like the offense of 2020. I mean, Allen standing on his head against the Bucs in this one. And I think everyone was very impressed. I mean, Sean McDermott talked about postgame in Tampa. He called Allen's performance incredible. What can Allen build off of? Because I think there is a lot of momentum that came off of that game.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, tempered a little bit by the injury. Now, looks good for Josh to be playing, and that's the biggest plus coming out of that. But to your point, there was a spark, right? There was a spark in the way he played and the way that whole offense played in the second half. The question is, does that carry over? I think it can. And you guys were up at practice this week. You saw him. We're not seeing him in full sprint. We're not seeing him in game mode. But you guys can tell by the way he moved that it doesn't appear that if this foot injury is a problem, it's not going to be a substantial one.
No, and Mike, we were up at practice, especially on Thursday, and we said, I go, if Josh looked 85%, Mike, he's going to be 100% during the game time or close to, because he'll be on painkillers and he may have, a numbing, something like. He's not getting any of that right now to go out there for practice. So again, positive signs. Now, again, the game plan may change, Jenna. But yeah. I think you're still going to have your best weapon at nearly full strength for this game.
Yeah, and I think you can see right there. So if you look at Allen's left leg, you can see that you can't see his leg in terms of what you can see on the right side. So we believe he has a wrap there on his left ankle. I'm not sure how far that goes down, obviously. But yeah, I mean, to echo your sentiment, Dan, like I feel like we saw Allen be himself. Now, again, does that mean the Bills are going to be rushing, having the QB design runs for Allen this week? I would expect those to be pared back. But at the same time, I feel like Allen seems like he's in a good spot to play. And it's funny, this week he was talked and asked, if there's the indication that you can play, his response is like, yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah,
Jenna. And like I said, you talk about how the playoffs start, like Josh is that competitor. And Deion Dawkins kind of echoed the sentiments that like this isn't week 3 and resting a long season to go. Deion Dawkins says they got to win, and it starts well.
The time is now. The time is now. Like there's no more time to we got to get it. No, let's get it. No, like we understand that it's time to punch that ticket, and we have our game faces on. We understand the challenge ahead. And they've been coaching us for it. So we're going to put our best foot forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Bills know that it's got to start now because of where they're at in the season. And it's crazy. I feel like this is snuck up, but this is a team that we know that had such high expectations coming into this year. But the good thing is they're facing off against a Carolina team that we know has had strength. Like,
yeah, they've had struggles, certainly offensively, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But defensively, they're not bad. They're fast. They have a few guys that can get to the quarterback. They have decent play in the secondary, including our old buddy, Stephon Gilmore, the former Bill, the former Patriot. So he goes there, and he wasn't playing a ton of snaps early. And I was reading some stuff that I think his wife was maybe doing a little talking about the organization on social media, which always makes it a lot of fun. Look, he's from South Carolina. He's from there. And I talked to a guy named John Ellis who covers the Panthers, does the Roar podcast. And I asked him, especially you guys talked about, will Allen run more? How will they do it? Well, they want to get the ball to Stephon Diggs. So my question was, are they going to have Gilmore line up against Diggs?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I think if you ask Mr. Gilmore, he's going to say, give me Mr. 14 right there. Give me Mr. Diggs. That's what he did with Kyle Pitts. He just told Phil Snow, I want Pitts, and he took him all game. Now, Diggs is an interesting challenge. He's a much different player than Kyle Pitts, much more fluid in his release. He's a pure receiver. But Gilmore is a very skilled corner. I would think that would be a decent idea.
Yeah, you would think it would be, especially, look, he's the number one weapon. And they are, again, it's statistically, they're the number one pass defense in the league. I think the Bills are number 2. And I know it's numbers, but I will say this, that they are better defensively than they are offensively. And they'll need to have that kind of game in order to try to upset the Bills. But Dan and Jenna, my point with Diggs is, look, if they go after him with Gilmore, you need somebody to step up. Looks like it's not going to be Emmanuel Sanders. It could be Gabriel Davis.
Yeah, and like so we saw him step up again in the Tampa Bay game. Also, he may be one of the funniest guys on the team there, stepping right in front of the jugs machine that fires footballs out at like 50 miles per hour. But he's a guy, too, that has kind of stepped on the radar. And, Jenna, I know you've been a fan of him throughout this entire offseason. Now he gets his chance. He got chances last year because of John Brown's injury. Now he gets a chance because Emmanuel Sanders could probably out with a sore knee.
Yeah, I think the reason I believed in his is because I thought he made the most of his opportunities last season as a rookie. And now as a second-year guy, he's had to wait. He said he had to wait his turn. But I think he's going to do a lot with his opportunity, and so does Josh Allen.
Hindsight's 2020 for sure. I wish I had all the playmakers on the field, so it's a good question. The answer is yes and no. Obviously, I trust whoever's on the field with us. At the same time, Gabe has shown and given every reason to prove why he should be out on the field. And again, he just continues to make plays, and we're gonna need him through this next stretch, and he's gonna have to make a lot of plays for us. And again, I think it's an opportunity that he's excited for, but more importantly, that he's ready for.
Yeah, Allen talking about he's ready for that. Allen was asked basically, do you wish that you used Gabriel Davis more earlier on in the season? And like Allen said, I mean, hindsight is always 2020. That is tough. But at the same point, Dan, I think he is ready for this more reps and to get himself out there.
Yeah, Davis said he always wanted to be out there. Look, some people are speculating that he's been underutilized. Well, you haven't been. It's not like he's sitting behind a bunch of scrubs. He's behind 2 all-pro guys in Cole Beasley. He's not a bad option to have at number 4 and a safety net.
Yeah, and he's also the guy who's had the ability to play all those positions. What does Brian Daboll tell us? Man, I just say, get out there at the X, at the Y, in the slot. They move him all over the place. And you've seen in the last couple of games, he made a big play in the Patriots game. Great route, touchdown. Then he made a huge play in the last game on the 4th and 5, and he gets the first down going down the sidelines. And he went to Josh Allen and said, thanks for trusting me. And by the way, in Allen's answer there, which came, what was that, on Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday it was. When he said that, I think he knows that Emmanuel Sanders isn't going to be playing, and maybe for a while. So I think in that part, like whether he's ready or not, and I think he is, I think they know they need Gabe Davis to step up for him.
Yeah, they certainly do. We'll see what he does against the Panthers. And coming up after the break, we're going to talk about who the Bills will be seeing. Cam Newton there. There's PJ Walker. We'll get all into the QB carousel in Carolina. We'll have it coming up.
McKenzie maybe needs to work him into the offense more. I agree with Jason there. Jason Taylor. Wow. Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer. Thank you, Jason. Watching the show. May not be the same one, but I'm going to just pretend it is.
Hey, Matt Goodrich, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.
Matt doesn't have you high on the list?
Apparently not.
Well, he has you high on one list.
Yes.
No, the idea of using Isaiah McKenzie, I believe that Sean McDermott and the special teams group lost faith in Isaiah, and Mike Stanford, Jenna for Christmas.
Yeah.
God, it's always about Jenna. And then they took him out of the lineup, and they've missed him offensively. And I do think it opens stuff up when whether it's the jet sweep or whether it's the threat of the jet sweep. I think it helps them. I would rather sometimes see Isaiah McKenzie getting the ball than some of the other running backs.
Yeah, it's just so tough because he's not enough of a red zone threat, I feel like, to not have him be a returner. Like if you're gonna have Marquez be the return guy, then I think you need to have him doing all of what Isaiah does then in the red zone.
I'm surprised they haven't had Marquez, right? They haven't used him in a jet sweep, have they?
No.
It's fast too. They just haven't used him there. So maybe they break that out this week if he plays. I mean, we'll see what they decide to do. Okay, hold on. I cannot disagree with this more. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
Be careful what you wish for. Ann and I live with it.
Don't do this. I know what you're going to do, Mike. You're going to stop talking, and I don't like when you do that.
By the way, you need to pull the mic back up again.
Oh. Sorry.
See why she doesn't talk.
I'm not prepared. I like these are some good comments.
Yeah.
Some of them are mean. We don't like the mean ones, but
yeah.
Ian
well,
says
they're
Bill
only mean ones to me.
Bill should hire Urban Meyer. Yeah, they should hire him.
Oh.
Man, think about that. And by the way, then I hear people this week saying, he's built more for the college game. Hired a racist, Then I don't know what, didn't fly back with the team and was hanging out, not with his wife, kicked a player, shouted down his assistants. He was 2-11 and he was worse off the field.
Yeah, no, it's impressive where some of these things come out and then you have players, executives, front office people come to his defense.
You're right.
Yeah.
Crickets. Even if all of this stuff that you've heard was false, not one person came out to right the ship. So they just couldn't wait to throw him under the bus.
Yep.
No, it's very true. Some good
Oh, look at this. Hold on. We got
Yeah.
Nick
Thank you,
coming
Nick.
through.
Mike, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the last name.
Which one? Oh,
Nick's last name. It's okay. Everyone says my last name.
I think it's Claracuzio.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Very well done.
Hey.
A Catalana would nail that.
paisans. I hope I got that right.
Let's see. All right.
All right, you ready?
Let's go. Okay, so this is six minutes.
Okay. And
Hold on.
Jen, whenever you're ready.
It's my world. You guys are just living in it.
We
That's it.
know that.
Inside baseball.
Okay, hold on. Okay. All right. Reset. Okay, in 3, 2. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus, presented by Connors and Ferris. Again, Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I'm Jenna Cottrell. The Bills preparing for the Panthers. And Mike, we know this is a situation. Cam Newton back with Carolina. It's so romantic. Wow, look at him go. But obviously, Cam Newton has been struggling in these last couple of weeks.
You know, he has been, but I have no idea what Matt Rule is doing with this team. Are they in a rebuild? Are they trying to win now? They've messed up this quarterback situation immensely. So they bring Cam back. They've got PJ Walker coming in the game, who maybe has some talent, but he gives the ball up at an alarming Peterman-like rate. And then you got Sam Darnold coming back. They pick up Sam Darnold. They give up draft picks, and they pick up Sam Darnold, and then they pick up the 5th-year option. So that costs them $16 million against the cap next year. Yeah, I just don't understand what they're doing with the quarterback situation. They had Teddy Bridgewater. Who's Teddy Bridgewater? But they'd have been better off keeping Teddy.
Yeah.
And then I know they're interested in Deshaun Watson, and maybe they're big into play for him in the offseason. But they have made a mess of this quarterback situation. I think we're going to see both PJ Walker and Cam Newton in the game. And I think when Cam's in there, he's going to be the running quarterback in this game. I think he's going to run a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of what they want to do offensively.
Yeah, Cam's actually had a lot of success over the last year, almost 2 years, running the football. I think he had 10 touchdowns last year, 10-plus touchdowns running the ball last year for the Patriots. The problem is that he struggles with the whole thing where you're supposed to throw the football to your team. And that's kind of tough as a quarterback. So then you bring in PJ Walker, and then obviously it's the old joke of if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't really have any. And so, but it is something that the Bills have to plan for.
3.
Yeah, you have 3 that you have none. You have negative at that point. But it is something that the Bills will have to prepare for. And this is what Jordan Poyer had to say about preparing for dual quarterbacks.
2 different style quarterbacks. Obviously a vet and Cam Newton, his ability to run the football and throw the football. PJ, a little bit more, of a thrower. It is challenging though. Gotta understand who's in the game. And you never know how they're going to try to play the game out. So just kind of got to be ready for everything. But 2 very talented players that we got to prepare for.
I will say this about Poyer's comment that doesn't make much sense to me. 2 very different quarterbacks. It's not like it's Drew Brees and Mike Vick. These are 2 athletic guys that are going to try and extend plays, and they do not play the typical
he doesn't know
quarterback.
anything about PJ Walker. He doesn't know. He's like good thrower of the football. Yes, because he's going to throw it to you. That's why he's a good thrower. No, and look, he's a young guy. It's just, again, it's a mess of an offense right now for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some guys that can go deep. They have some guys that can fly on the offense. This entire team is fast. But you know what they don't have? They don't have McCaffrey. And without him, I mean, their run game, Hubbard is their runner, and he's a decent player, but McCaffrey's a great all-around player.
Yeah.
So they don't have that. Their offense has struggled. They need to muck it up, make it an ugly game in order to try to upset the Bills on Sunday.
Muck it up to make it an ugly game. Well, we
Yeah.
know we didn't see some flags against Tampa. Maybe it's a situation where we get to hear from Jordan Poyer again this week because we know a lot of Bills fans were frustrated with this. Mike, I mean, you were at this game as well. Like there were some pretty surprising no calls in this.
Yeah, I get it. This is the one. I mean, I get it, and fans, everybody, even we were watching, I'm standing there, you're on the field watching. I'm like, wow, how did they not call that? Then they call this. Mike Evans, as Jenna knows, is a big player, and he's got his arm around Levi. Now, Levi at this point hadn't turned around yet, but eventually he does. I guess my point is those were marginal. They get called a lot. The offensive player has a huge edge there. But Diggs, that is right in the prime spot. I'm telling you, that is 9 out of 10 times they make that call.
Yeah.
And they give him that call, right, Dan?
Yeah, and Diggs got his jersey pulled on one, which gets called every single percent of the time. And my other thing, too, is that it's Stephon Diggs. This isn't some rookie nobody. Yeah. And where somebody responded to me saying, well, what does that have to do with anything? Michael Jordan gets different foul calls. LeBron James gets different foul calls.
Yeah.
All those things happen. We asked Jordan Poyer about how difficult it is and his question about officiating, and this is what he had to say.
That might be the hardest play as a defensive back to make, because now, your momentum is running forward, the receiver's trying to get back to the ball. And even if you do turn around, most 9 times out of 10, that receiver is going to turn, basically grab you or try to figure out a way to come back to the ball and make it, and there's a lot of calls that have gotten bailed out because of that. And, not that it matters. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it is what it is. But it does make it a lot harder for defenders to play defense.
That's got to be such a challenge.
It is what it is.
I was saying this. That's the best way they say it because they can't find me for saying it is what it is.
We'd have to bleep out if you really wanted to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we know Bills fans were donating to charities to help people that, couldn't see or blind or issues with their vision. So we know Bills fans how they feel about all that. But generous as always. We always love to see it. All right, coming up, we're going to have our favorite segment, the mic drop, and it's all about Sean McDermott, Bills fans. We'll hear what Mike has to say about the Bills head coach coming up after the break.
Okay. I tossed to the soundbite when I shouldn't have.
That's okay.
That's why I was laughing. Then fine. I thought you guys switched, and I was like,
I thought we switched too, and then it's fine. It's really not a big deal.
I was like, why is Mike making a face? And then I was like,
because I'm looking at it. Just always keep in mind, and I know, Dan, you know this, but we got to get out of the video before we can go to the bite.
Yeah, I messed that up.
It's a minor thing. It's just
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah, you can't go one to the other. It always has to come back. So
my bad.
No, it's just to be aware of it when we're doing that. So okay.
Comment comes in. Jenna had to dodge Evans again on one play. No, she had to dodge Godwin.
Yeah, my life flashed before my eyes.
She put Godwin on the ground.
Literally in my face. It was there's a video or a picture that the Bills photographer got. Oh, that's
Sam saying need more from Epinesa and Rousseau. 100%. Sean McDermott was asked about his pass rush earlier this week and simply the question was very honest. Very straightforward. Do you need to see more production from your front four? And Sean said, yes, 1,000%. Yes, I need to see more production. I don't know how much more you can call out somebody.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And again, we know McDermott is very intentional about the way he talks in front of us in terms of being, like press conferences, reporters.
Yep.
And I can see why. I mean, they've invested so much. And Mike, we know Rousseau and Epinesa are younger guys, but at the same point, I mean, these are players that the Bills heavily invested in.
Yeah, you got to show something. I mean, Rousseau showed it early. Epinesa had the one game against Miami, but come on. Yeah. We're talking about high draft picks. We're talking about a 2 for Basham. Last week, you had 2 2s and a 3, all inactive in the biggest game of the year with Zach Moss, Cody Ford, and Basham. And I know somebody's like, oh, they draft 2 guys. Boogie Basham's a second-round pick. He's been inactive a good portion of the year. And, you expect to get more out of those guys than you have. So it's been a disappointment. There's no doubt. Both lines of scrimmage, we know.
Yeah. John Herring, if we don't win by 3 scores, I will be upset.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you want to see in this game is them get control, play like the better team, and then maybe you either get Josh out of the game or you basically are playing time consuming, run the ball, short passes, just avoid anything late. That's what you really want to see. You don't want to see Josh diving for the goal line in the fourth quarter against the Panthers.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
There have been so many times where we've been like, oh, this should be the statement game. This should be the pad the stats game. This is a game you get out alive. I don't care how they do it.
Come
This could
on.
be,
No,
What?
I see what he's saying. You got to win the game no matter
Yes.
what. But
yes.
like we're
they
at the
should
point
look like
the Bills.
better team.
I understand that, but we keep wondering when the Bills are going to flip the switch. I'm kind of over waiting to see when it's going to happen. This is the bed they've made. They have to lie in it, and now they have to get gritty, ugly, dirty. However they do it is just to get wins. I'm not sitting here like it was the Miami game where I was like, they better cover the spread. I'm just sitting here going, they need to get out of this game with a win to stay alive to head to New England.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just want to.
yes.
I want to see a commanding win though. Like they should beat this.
What I
team.
want to see, yes,
100%.
I want to see them in control. I want to see them look like the better team, but I also want to see them get through the week and get ready for next week. And maybe they're watching the Colts knock them off. And look,
Yep.
if the Patriots do win, well, it helps the Bills for the playoffs because the Colts are right there and the Colts beat them head to head. So it does help the Bills for the playoffs. So not the division, but it helps them for the playoffs. So we'll see what happens.
Ooh, Justin.
I like Justin's comment.
Well, we know
Needs to
Mike
be more aggressive as a game manager, play caller, all those things, blitz more. I agree 100%. That's probably one of the best comments we've seen on here in a while.
All right, Jenna, you're going to
knock at all the other comments. That's a step above. I'm not knocking
Jenna,
the other ones.
Jenna, you're going to set me up with the VO of McDermott, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds, guys. This will be 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Okay.
And Mike, you are tossing to Greg.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're going to do mic
live.
drop. We're going to do injury report, and then we're going to do
Unless-
the Greg sound.
Unless we want to push Greg to the next segment.
Well, no, that's our final segment.
I know, but okay, that's fine.
I don't know.
That's fine. That's fine.
Wow, the wind is whipping out there.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Okay, hold on. In 3, 2. All right, welcome back. We have our favorite segment, the mic drop, Mike Catalana. There's a lot to talk to about the coaching decisions, some of them that went into the Tampa Bay Bucs game, and just some of the things we've seen from McDermott over the last couple weeks. I know you have your own thoughts on that.
Yeah, look, I got some issues with Sean McDermott as a head coach. I think his nature is to be conservative and play the field position game. And I think that's a dated philosophy. And I think it's counterproductive to the team and the quarterback that he has. I think he gets anxious and involved too much in the offense. And I think, maybe a Twix bar or 2 Mick Ultras during the week would help him relax a little bit. But that's not Sean. But the hot take guys that say he can't win and the team might need to move on at some point from this guy, that is such a short-sighted and absurd idea. And this isn't just coming from frustrated fans at halftime, and there are plenty of them. My fellow media members who think they're all 22 access makes them Bill Parcells. Just stop. Culture and trust are more than half the battle in the NFL, especially in Buffalo. McDermott has that in excess with this team. Have some forgotten what NFL coaches in other places are like? It's like being on a dating site and trying to find the perfect match. Who's the new shiny object you want? McDermott might be more Mike Tomlin than Bill Belichick. He is flawed at times, but his basic tenet of the way he handles a team is what you want and what you want for the long term. There was a lot of criticism of Marv Levy in year 2 of the Bills build when they barely made the playoffs. And a lot of people were wondering, who's this Marv Levy and could he be the guy? We saw what happened for the next decade, including 4 trips to the Super Bowl. Not saying McDermott does that. I'm saying slow down on the idea that you've lost faith in this guy after what he's built. Culture and trust is number one, and Sean McDermott has that and should have that from the fans.
Wow. That was really good. I agree,
that
though.
was-
I think
yeah.
short term there have been decisions
Yep.
that are frustrating, but long term, where you look at where this team started under McDermott to where they are now, you talk about that culture, that trust, that is evident, and you can tell his players have more than bought in.
Yeah, it's the fact too of that. Look, we're past the honeymoon phase.
Yep.
Like this is the real nitty gritty. You don't think, like Mike, you made a great point. Mike Tomlin has had ups and downs, but he has always been able to steady the ship. I think these next 4 games will tell a lot about the culture and McDermott getting back to who he is, I think, as a head coach and a leader.
Yeah. All right. We want to get into the injury report sponsored by UR Medicine, Sports Medicine. Josh Allen, we know he's been limited this week, but we believe he's going to play. Some of the other guys that kind of we talk about, Dan, that have jumped out, Star Latule dealing with a toe injury. We don't think Emmanuel Sanders will play, but Jerry Hughes also popping up. What do you make of that?
Well, I would like to see Jerry Hughes pop up on the box score for some rushes too. But this is just, again, at this time of the year, nobody's 100%. So again, even if Josh Allen didn't get rolled up on, he still wouldn't be 100%. This is the time of the year where what you have built has to last. Goes back to training camp, Sean McDermott, all of those things that he has put in now have to come to, because there is no team that's 100% healthy. We have heard it this week. Injury rate is 100% in the NFL. Deion Dawkins said it. They just got to deal with it.
Yeah. We know where we're at too in terms of the season, Mike. We know that there's a lot going on in terms of weather, how that affects the game. But we also know that with the end of the year, there's also some other things going on in terms of big picture for the Bills.
Yeah, we talked to Greg Connors, our sponsor, who's got some insight into what's going on with the new stadium. And when I talked to Greg about his pick, and by the way, he picks the Bills 24-10, he said he's got some concerns about what's happening with the negotiations with the state. And the NFL wants to know what the plan is and have it going forward by the end of this year. We're talking about December 31st, at least some semblance of an agreement between the state and the Bills. Here's what he had to say.
And so really what it boils down to, and my concern is for the team to stay here in Buffalo, New York's got to step up and pay the $1 billion out of the $1.4 billion. And that's not that's not like the fancy accoutrements that you have in Dallas or you have in Los Angeles. It's a tried and true Western New York, great stadium, but not super frilly. That commitment says to the fans and the citizens and the people of Western New York, we want the Bills to stay here, and we're willing to share in that responsibility to give Western New Yorkers an identity to make us relevant in the national scene. Otherwise, there's plenty of other cities that are in the top 10 largest cities in the country that want an NFL team, and the NFL knows it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this a lot, and he's not saying that the Pagulas are putting out any sort of threat there. Mm-hmm. He's saying from what he's hearing, this comes from the league, because the league ultimately controls the franchises. You have ownership, but it's the league who wants to see this progress done. So something to keep an eye on, not to make everybody too nervous, but certainly keep one eye on it, as we also have a governor's election coming up next year, which will be impactful.
I'm sure we will be talking about this. And coming up, we got Greg's pick. We're also going to do our picks and predictions as the Bills take on the Panthers in Week 15.
All right.
Let's get back. Okay. Yeah, I got to say, I don't know what retractable dome. There was a lot of conversations that we had about that. And like I said, Greg has some pretty good insight. But it's going to end up in Orchard Park. The Bills are going to contribute, like we told you back when we broke the story in the beginning. It's going to be there. They looked at this downtown thing, but there's a lot of stuff that'll probably come out that the downtown thing has things that will make it difficult to put the physical stadium there. So, thank you, Gerald. But they will put the stadium there. But the idea of getting this agreement, the league has very little patience for this. So they'll want it done.
Yeah, they don't like uncertainty.
They don't like uncertainty. So, they're saying by the end of the year, we'll see. We'll see if there is. We haven't heard this publicly, but Greg's got more insight than any of us certainly would. And that's what he thinks about what's going to happen with the stadium. Yeah, I love a dome too, but
nobody loves a dome more than Mike and I after Monday night.
Yes.
Against the Patriots.
Patriots is brutal. But I think money-wise, it's not happening because there's a certain amount of money the Pagulas are going to put in. Keep in mind, when everybody says build it yourself, the Pagulas won't own the stadium. They won't own it. They're a tenant of the stadium. They get a sweetheart deal and all, but they don't own it. So it's a weird dynamic because the team doesn't own it, but they're really the only one that could play in it. So we'll see. By the way, the other thing he told me is he's seen some of the drawings of what it posed, thinks it would be awesome, the new stadium. So we haven't seen those yet. So
Yeah.
not a dome, but some things that are very, I think people would be very excited about. So we'll see.
Okay. Love that. We're going to have 145
All right.
for this
You
final
start
game.
out with Dan, and you're going to do the banners?
I can do the banners.
You got them? Okay. I got them too. While you're talking, I got them. I'll do the banners.
When
Okay.
you
I'll
see
do
me
real
go
quick.
like this, that means 30.
Okay.
Okay. I'll do my pick first. My bet.
You bet, and then the pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And 3, 2. Welcome back to Buffalo Plus. All right, we're getting into this Bills game. Dan, we know you have your best bets, though, for Week 15.
One last week, betting on the Chargers, laying 10 points. This week, give me the Bengals plus 2.5 at Denver. Season's on the line for Cincy. Joe Burrow's got to step up.
All right, and in terms of this Bills game, what do you think?
The Bills got to step up. And I'm talking about the defense specifically in this one. I think the Bills win. I think the offense is okay. I think the defense plays really well. 30-11, weird score, weird game.
All right. I also have the Bills winning this one. Now, all of our records are 7-6 at this point in the season. Was not expecting that, but I have the Bills winning this one 28-13. I think they found something in that second half against Tampa. I want to see them recreate that. I don't think Josh Allen will be as dynamic, but I don't think he needs to be. I also think the defense gets a turnover at some point, maybe a pick six, something like that. I think the defense is going to score in this game. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think the Bills are the better team. I think they show it. I think they need that kind of game. 31-13, I have the Bills. I finally tied you guys. Picked the score exactly right this past week. I wish I was wrong. I really do wish I was wrong, but 33-27.
Yeah.
We're all even. We
We're
all
all
should be
even.
better than 7-6.
We all
But this
should be
team
better.
should be better than
Buffalo
7-6.
Bills, we're also talking to you as well. Look, we know it's going to be quite a game on Sunday. The Bills at this point in the season where it is a must-win type of situation. Kickoff will be at 1 o'clock. We'll have all of our coverage on the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there as well. We always appreciate all the comments. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fetes, I am Jenna Cottrell. Thank you so much for watching Buffalo Plus, sponsored by Connors and Ferris.
Good.
Great.
Well done, Jenna. Kept us on time there at the end.
I almost threw up
did.
in my mouth, but I did it.
Oh, you mean when you almost didn't say your name right?
Today, when we were doing our video, I was like, and Dan Fetes, and I'm in my head, I said Mike Catalana, but
But you've only said that once.
yeah.
Can you guys hear Winston? He's going nuts over here. I don't know if anybody. I actually had to mute my mic because I was afraid that Winston was gonna make an
That's
appearance.
Dan's cat for everyone that, well, no one probably knows that. He's
Oh
a
my
mountain
gosh.
lion.
No kidding.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Wow. I got to say, I'm worried about the COVID thing. And look, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the politics. I'm talking about the way it can impact almost any game at any time. Like when we start adding up wins and losses, you know, you start looking and you go, well, you say like New England, well, they got Jacksonville, they got whatever. For all we know, by the time they play that game, you know, a team could be missing 10 guys. I mean, look at what's happened to these teams. So I know the new protocols will make it a little different, but man, this last month is going to be screwy because, oh, thank you there, Richard. I appreciate it. This last month is going to be like if you're sitting there and you're a coach and a GM, you're holding your breath all week when these tests come back.
Yep.
By the way,
I think
what's Dan always say? Be positive, test
Stay
negative.
positive, test negative.
All of us
That's it.
testing negative again this week. So that's
John
what we want.
Rothstein started that. I can't take that. John Rothstein was the first one to start tweeting.
Yeah,
that.
it's all right.
And I
We're
just
going to
might-
give it to you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And Mike, you're so right because I remember last year during all the uncertainty, obviously with no vaccine, all of those things being said, it was terrifying waking up
Yep.
every morning and getting the results back. I think maybe this plays in the Bills' favor of hunkering back down like they did last year. Micah Hyde said like he pretty much did nothing all last year from the fact of he just went home and that was about it. So it'll be, again, we talked about last year as the team that handles COVID the best has a great chance to win it all. Right now, with what is going on around the league, we're kind of getting back into that range.
Yeah, and Jenna, it seems like the Players Association say it's not about game transmission. It's about other circumstances. And it, just like in the real world, it happened right after Thanksgiving, where there's people getting together. I mean, it just did. And, I don't know. The league's going to do everything they can. And Saturday, kind of feel sorry for the Browns. I mean, that's brutal going into that game.
Stinks.
That's brutal. And Washington, the same thing. I mean, 20 guys, like it's borderline unfair, but it's so late in the year. I mean, do they push any of these games back a day or two? I don't know. Right now, they say no. The NFL doesn't want to give up that window. They love that Saturday doubleheader late in the year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I know. You just hate to see something like an outside thing affect the season like this, but it's the times that we live in.
Yep.
I was just saying
9 more Rams players test positive 10 minutes ago, Andy said.
I didn't see that.
The Rams had a crazy amount too. Like if they had 9 more, and I assume that's right.
Yep. Schefter just said Von Miller amongst them.
But they're up in the 20s.
Yep.
They were at like 16 before. I mean, if you have 25 players, and the Rams play Sunday. I think they have a Sunday game. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's cool.
I don't know what's.
I tweeted out Josh Allen looks to be moving well at Bills practice, and LaShawn McCoy just liked it.
He did what?
Former Bill. LaShawn McCoy liked the tweet about Allen.
Hey, I could email him and say it. Remember we got LaShawn's email? Can I tell that quick funny story?
Yeah.
So Jenna and I are at the media session for the Kansas City Chiefs at the Super Bowl in Miami, and we see LaShawn, and we're talking to him, and then we took a couple of pictures. We were going to tweet it out. He was being interviewed, and he gives me like so I go up to him. He goes, "Can you email me those?" I mean, he's just like a normal person. It was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
So he gave me his email, which I'm not giving anybody. It's I'm sure it's his work email. Like, he gives to a guy like me, here's my email. So I sent him we sent him the pictures that we had of him at the podium. But for him, it was cool. He's at the podium at the Super Bowl. But it was just kind of funny. Can you email those to me?
Yeah.
So
I was
we
like,
Rams are up to 25. The Browns in Washington are up to 21.
Yeah. But I wonder, okay, do these new rules take effect for these guys? Because if they can get players back on the field between now and Saturday or Sunday, I mean, you would think the league and the Players Association, I know the Players Association wanted to pause. It's not a terrible idea, but they're not going to not play a bunch of other games to pause the whole thing for a week. They're just not doing that. They're not doing it.
Man.
So, yeah,
all right.
It can impact everybody. So,
all right.
anyhow.
Just did the mic. All right. When Mike's done with something, he just goes, all right. It's all right, but it's for Mike. Okay. All right. We appreciate everyone watching. We'll have plenty more coverage. Mike and I are going to the game this weekend. So we'll have more stuff coming up.
Not the same weather we had in Tampa.
There's a tear rolling down my eye.
It's supposed to be not bad. 25, 30, a little bit of wind. Nothing bad.
Weather. I will say it was windy again in the stadium today. I mean, it's just windy.
Orchard Park.
Windy.
All right.
Windy. All right. All right. Thank you all for watching. We'll catch you next week on the Buffalo Plus show. All right. We got to wrap up. All right. Bye, guys.